Hey everyone, back tuning in to today's first video. I'm going to do Chris's update tonight, but this one is looking at the weather for the rest of November. Very, very late with today's video. A bit of power cut where I am, so unfortunately it's delayed me getting the video to you, so I'm just going to rattle through the charts as quickly as I can. It's very mild, of course, at the moment. We've had a really warm start to November. It looks like this is going to go on for quite some time. There's no sign of being cold enough. I think we'll see temperatures going a little bit cooler next week, but still above average. I'm not at all ruling out the chance of the mildest November on record before we're finished with this month. So it could be quite a significant month, actually. So, but we'll have a look at the charts in a moment. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads. There's links to articles on the page of Gas. So this have browse widgets, click through links, and the articles that you're interested in. Thanks very much for doing that. Video ads, most pages, open out the content. If you watch them, close back up again. Thanks so much for doing that. Gas shop is open, so if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, just click through the Amazon banners in Gas shop. It'll take you off to Amazon, and because you're going from Gas to Amazon, we get a review on what you're doing, and thanks very much for doing that. I want to start off with website XC Weather, just so you can see how warm it is today. So I'll take a few weather stations at random. Church Lawford, for example, is at 15 degrees at the moment. Coventry Airport is at 16 degrees with a dew point of 14 Celsius. That is sort of late summer or early summer type conditions. Nottingham, Watnall is at 17 Celsius. Leek Thorncliffe at 15 Celsius. Doncaster, being the warmest place in the country today, has gone up to 18 Celsius, and so it goes as we move northwards. Teesside up to 17 degrees. Try another one. Newcastle is at 17 degrees. Well, it's cooler across Scotland. So Aviemore, for example, or let's try Inverness at 10 Celsius with a dew point of 8 Celsius, and going further north out in Hara is at 11. So cooler areas filtering into Scotland. That's gradually going to push southwards through the course of the rest of the week, and it will give us one fairly cool day on Friday, and it could actually be cold enough on Friday for a few wintry showers over the higher ground of Scotland. So finally, keep a watch out for it, because finally Snowdesk here on the homepage may see a little bit of action on Friday. It won't be anything out of the ordinary, but just a few wintry showers, sleet or snow showers possible over high ground of Scotland. But that really won't last very long. We'll be back to very mild temperatures over the weekend. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. The red line here is a 30-year temperature average. So you can see that we're very significantly above average at the moment. There is a cooling trend through the rest of the week. Very gradually the temperature comes down. And on Friday, this is Friday's cooler interlude just here. It doesn't last though. It's going to weekend, the temperatures peak back up again, and then we're generally staying mild into next week. Now you notice this white line, this is the ensemble mean, and this is sort of the mean line of all 20 members of the spaghetti, if you like, and this is telling us that we're going to be above average still next week, not to the sort of level that we are this week. We're not going to be at this sort of level, but still generally a bit above the 30-year temperature average. So it'll be a mild week next week, just less so than it is this week. Perhaps more alarmingly than the temperatures, and more importantly, will be the rainfall, because you'll notice these huge spikes at the bottom of the chart. We're starting off quite dry the rest of this week. Let's get through into the weekend. There'll be some rain coming through, and then on into next week, got these big precipitation spikes appearing. So we could bring some very active weather systems into the country next week. So maybe a focus shifting more from temperature onto rainfall actually next week. It looks like it could be really very wet. This is for London in the southeast. So you can imagine what it's like, for instance, in the north and the west of the country. So here's the generic charts. This is for GFS for Saturday, bringing up this southwest wind. So already we're losing that cooler interlude that we're going to get on Friday. That's gone by Saturday, and we're back into southwesterly flows following the ice bars back. Air is originating from a long way south in the Atlantic, so mild air is pushing back in. That stays with us into Sunday as well. On into next week, this is Monday, and low pressure still to north of Scotland, high pressure across Central Europe. So the same broad setup, but more in way of a westerly as opposed to the southwesterly, will just start to lower the temperatures a little bit, and that'll be the trend through the course of next week. But whilst it is still mild, the air will come from a slightly further, slightly more northerly point in the Atlantic, which will reduce the temperatures a bit, but still generally coming out above average, of course, particularly at night, with a complete and distinct lack of frost. Also staying very unsettled with these areas of low pressure, bring bands of rain in across the country. And we go up to day 10, which is Friday, the 20th of November, still driving in low pressure off the Atlantic, so more bands of rain coming through. Again, the air is not from a tropical source of the Atlantic, it's from a more polar maritime source, so it will be a little bit cooler, but still above average. Excuse me. The EWF is very similar. We start off at a little cooler snap at midnight on Saturday. By the time you get through Sunday, that's gone, and we're pushing these very mild southwesterly winds in across the country once again. Also risk of heavy rain. We go through to next week, low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, same setup, it's unsettled, but it is still very mild. And we keep it mild and unsettled through next week with low pressure driving in. This looks like quite a significant area of low pressure on Wednesday, down to 970 millibars. If that happens, it could bring some very wet and windy weather in across the country midweek next week. Later on in the week, the wind tries to go a little bit into the north on Thursday, just turning things a bit cooler, Thursday the 19th. Day 10, in a slightly cooler air mass, but we've still got more areas of low pressure in the Atlantic. This is a very unsettled phase, so very quickly this ever so slight transient ridge will be flattened off as these areas of low pressure move in. And I think we really are in some heavy rain next week, so you're going to have to keep an eye on that. The rainfall totals will be starting to clock up. Just have a look at the next month from the CFSV2. And what we see with this one is these are 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. So the first week period shows a ridge across many parts of Europe, trough in the Atlantic, with the jet stream digging down and going like that. That's bringing the warm air up from the southwest across the country. The most of the conditions in the north and the west through the coming week, gradually extending to other parts of the country. The next weekly period, going from the 17th through to 23rd, looks very similar. Again, high pressure in much of Central Europe. Low pressure is closer to us in the Atlantic, though, so it's a more unsettled phase, with the jet stream coming right through the country, bringing bouts of rain and quite strong winds. The third week looks like this. It's the 24th through to the 30th of November, and we see this ridge in across Scandinavia with a trough of low pressure across the Atlantic, so the jet stream going a bit like that. This high pressure across Scandinavia will be trying to bring cooler air in from the east, I would think, but still generally the source of the air is probably going to be fair way south, so generally quite a mild period. And then a bit of a change through the last weekly period. This takes us through the first week of December, the 1st through to the 7th of December. Trough of low pressure is in across Scandinavia then, with high pressure seemingly going out into the Atlantic, trying to get up towards Greenland. So that would send the flow a bit like that. So it could start to turn colder there through the first week of December. Don't be running away with the idea of talking about depths of winter. It's not that dramatic, but probably a colder week through the first week of December. The temperature anomalies look like this, exceptionally mild through the coming week. The next weekly period, again, very mild week, coming up from the 17th to 23rd of November. The third weekly period, again, milder than average, not quite as mild, but still milder than average. And then from the first week of December, which looks like it could be a bit colder actually, that one coming out milder than average as well. If those temperature anomalies come off from where we are, where we're starting from right now in terms of the temperatures that we had so far through November, I would not be at all ruling out the possibility that we will have the mildest November on record. The previous record is in 1994, so we could break that this month. We're going to have to wait and see whether it is as mild as this through to the end of the month. But if it is, big if, but if it is, we could well finish up with our mildest November since records began. If you're looking at CET, that would be since records began in 1659. So, mild and increasingly wet is the message from this update through next week. After that, may turn a bit colder. Have to wait and see. Come back this evening for the Christmas update. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.